Now, all oil marketing companies in Ghana now participate in the government's Gold for Oil program. This was after the National Petroleum Authority reviewed the requirements needed for the oil firms to participate in the program. The authority, however, maintains that these companies must be in good standing with the National Petroleum Authority and the Ghana Revenue Authority. They must also be willing to pass on the benefits to consumers. Let us now go on Zoom and speak to the head of economic regulations at the National Petroleum Authority, Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti. Thank you so much, sir, for your time here. What has influenced this move by the NPA in terms of reviewing the requirement for the Gold for Oil program?
All right, thank you very much. You remember when the program started in January, we mentioned that the criteria that had been set was going to be revised as more volumes of products are imported. The first criteria had to be determined because at the time, the volumes were not significant for it to be spread thinly among so many oil marketing companies. And therefore, it was very important that we had a criteria that was going to ensure that the volumes at the time was going to be felt, or the impact of the price at the time was going to be felt at the pump. And that's how come we came up with the very first criteria that said we're looking at oil marketing companies that were within the top 25 market share with at least 45 retail outlets. Subsequent to that, we reviewed it again as more volumes were imported. And at this time around, we increased it to top 40, OMCs within the top 40 of market share with at least 10 oil marketing companies. But if you've been following, you notice that more cargoes have been imported under the program. And therefore, there's no need to now have a criteria that limits the number of marketing companies. And as we speak now, we've opened it up to all oil marketing companies. Like you mentioned, the only criteria we are looking at now is that you must be in good standing. You shouldn't be a company that's indebted to either the National Petroleum Authority in terms of payment of license fees or other statutory margins, or a company that has not paid your tax returns to the Ghana Revenue Authority. So once you are in good standing, you qualify to supply products under the program.
But are you struggling to get the over 100 oil marketing companies to sign up?
Okay, so let me clarify that it is not for the National Petroleum Authority to look for the OMCs to buy the product. Okay. These are commercial transactions. And the BDCs, after they bought the product from BOST, are required to sell it to oil marketing companies based on their own commercial terms as well. So they would look for oil marketing companies that are able to pay them based on the commercial terms they have. Let me mention that indeed the request for us to even increase the criteria to include more oil marketing companies came from the BDCs themselves. And therefore, as we speak, as of today, we have over 40 oil marketing companies that have been cleared to participate. These OMCs, these BDCs, we informed them last week that if they have any oil marketing company that they would like to sell to, all they have to do is just inform the authority, and we clear them, and then they can participate. So on a daily basis, even today, we've had OMCs that have been submitted to us that have been cleared to participate. So this is done on a daily basis, and the numbers keep increasing. So it is not as if NPA is going out to look for oil marketing companies to participate.
Mr. Tasunti, please hold on for me and let me bring in the conversation Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, who is an energy specialist. Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, do you hold the view that the decision to now include oil marketing companies in the Gold for Oil policy is a good move?
Yeah, thank you very much, Beverly, and then good afternoon to you and the cherished viewers across the globe, and then to Abbas also. Yeah, so earlier on when they made the announcement, I took exceptions to that. I wasn't comfortable with that, in the sense that, in fact, it was one of the few decisions I crossed NPA that I wasn't comfortable. And my reason was simple, that we are in to make the policy to impact almost everybody. Well, the explanation given was that they rather wanted to maximize the impact. That was why they did that. But I felt that every single OMC is important, regardless of the location. Maybe one OMC with even a single outlet, the strategic location of that OMC will impact the populace there more than those with the bigger, those with the highest, market share. So I welcome the decision to include all oil marketing companies. I think it's a prudent one. And for fairness, I think that's the way to go. Other than that, if you had hold on to that particular trajectory of limiting some OMCs based on their market share, then we'll crowd out some people. A policy that was seeking to bring everybody involved then we'll end up bringing, clauses that will end up taking some people out. That was quite unfortunate. So I think the revision is welcome and it's a prudent one to do. Yeah.
But do you think that the initial reason is more valid?
No, it wasn't. Like I said, I don't think it was valid.
Okay.
Earlier on, what I said when when they mentioned that, what I said was, OMC should rather be targeted with respect to this policy based on their standard. If I'm a single OMC and I pay my dues, I'm not owing GRA, I'm not owing the regulator. I don't think it's fair for me not to be supplied a potential cheaper petroleum products if it is in the market. So I think the earlier decision wasn't that much prudent, of course, regardless of the explanation that was given. I think this later decision is more pragmatic, and I think and I welcome that one. So yes, the earlier one was null and void, and I think it wasn't good. Yeah.
Let me come back to you, Mr. Tasunti. Can you help us with some numbers in terms of how this Gold for Oil program is impacting on prices? Because some are still questioning the impact on petroleum prices.
Okay, thank you very much. So with regards to impact, I think one significant impact we have seen is that now we are seeing the market prices from the BDCs coming very close or even matching the Gold for Oil price. Let me give you an example. In the second window of January, when the first cargo of Gold for Oil came, the diesel cargo, we did our market analysis as we always do, to always have an idea of what goes into the pricing of the BDCs compared to the Gold for Oil. And if you remember at the time, when the Gold for Oil came, the price disparity at the time, the Gold for Oil diesel was selling at about 10.8 cedis per liter, whilst on the market, the extra price for the same product was about 12 cedis per liter. So there's a huge gap. And at the time, based on analysis, we were seeing the supplies premium or the numbers that went to the BDC's pricing, averaging about $136 for diesel at the time. And for petrol, it was about $260 per metric ton, which was quite high at the time. But as we speak now, the Gold for Oil has had an impact in the sense that it has brought down the market prices to match G40. And based on this same analysis that we do for every window, we are seeing that the supplies premium for petrol has now dropped from over $200 per metric ton to about $98 per metric ton, just for the window that just ended. For diesel, we are seeing about $60 per metric ton. It used to be about over $130 per metric ton. So we are seeing a significant impact. So in terms of the price differential between the Gold for Oil and the market prices, they are very close now. But the premium that we've seen, the impact that we've seen is that the premiums have dropped significantly. And as you would expect, in the free market, you don't control how the BDCs will determine their prices. It's a free market. But the Gold for Oil has made them come down. I don't think without the Gold for Oil policy, we would have had such significant reductions on their part. Even though generally the world market price have been falling and the exchange rate has stabilized, which has contributed to the price falls we are seeing at the pump now. Compared to the Gold for Oil, prices are comparatively cheaper. And actually, this is what we expected, that with the Gold for Oil coming in with such a competitive price, it was going to move the market and make us see this impact.
Dr. Suleimana, we are pressed for time, but I want to ask you this final question. The NPA boss, Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, has been elected president of the African Refiners and Distributors Association. What are your expectations of him?
Yeah, so, well, I'm not surprised. If you look at our regulator, they have been one of the vibrant regulators within the continent. And so, and other African Refiners Development Association, Distributors Association, is supposed to champion downstream activities. So if there's any person that can champion such, I think our Dr. Mustafa Hamid could be the right person to do so. But going forward, what I want to urge him, as pragmatic as he is, and I've seen that he brought a lot of changes within NPA, which we always we are happy about. I want to see this association championing more local refineries, because if you look at it, I think they were supposed to it came like African Refiners Association. It was supposed to champion springing up of refineries within the continent. The way they brought in the distribution aspect of it, the D component of it, I don't want it to start championing, importation of finished product activities. To zero in importation of finished product activities. So going forward, I think our doctor has 2 refineries within his backyard. He should ensure that he uses the leadership, his stewardship to bring TOR back to life. He should use his stewardship to ensure that our, the private refineries that are coming on, all these refineries come back to life. And I think that will help a lot. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Dr. Isif Sulemana is energy strategist, as well as head of economic regulations at the National Petroleum Authority, Abbas Ibrahim Tasunti, for your time here. And that's how we end Business Live tonight. For more business news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com/business. I am Beverly Broom. Enjoy the rest.